It's not just an ordinary Tuesday. Welcome to Terrier Tuesdays, the show where you can get to know some of Boston University's best and brightest student athletes.
Welcome to another edition of Terrier Tuesdays. I'm Meg Kelly and joined today by Shauna Kelleher, class of 2011 women's soccer graduate. Shauna, how are you doing today?
I'm feeling good today. This weekend in Philly was really exciting, and I think this weekend for the country was just a sigh of relief that everything is counted and over, and we can kind of move forward. So, I mean, I'm feeling good.
Yeah, same. I feel a lot of relief and a lot of hope for the first time in a really long time.
Yeah.
But let's throw it back to your time in Boston. I know you're in Philly now, but you grew up in Canton, which isn't too far from here. What was your experience like growing up, and what was your early days of soccer like?
Yeah, so it's funny. I think if you ask anyone in my age range, I think growing up being a girl playing soccer, you have to say the 99 World Cup team had some sort of influence, which is definitely true. And I mean, growing up, I was come from a family full of athletes. My dad played hockey. My mom played field hockey in college. She actually played at BC. So there's a little tension in high school of where I was going to commit to. But I think growing up, it was kind of cool because they got to learn the game of soccer as I was learning it too. And I mean, being local and being in Boston and being able to kind of wear your city on your chest too, there's definitely a sense of pride in that. And for me, growing up, I mean, I showed up on ComEv at 17. I didn't have my 18th birthday until December of that fall. So, I mean, being so young and committing to a program and committing to college at such a young age, I think for me, I definitely wanted to stay close. And I think being able to have my family be able to come to home games was something that was super, super important to me and special to me. I think my parents were at every home game. My mom was super fan and flew to every game. She was in Minnesota, South Carolina, Maryland, West Virginia, like she was everywhere. So I think being able to stay local and to have that sense of community and my family be there was super important. But yeah, as I mentioned, I was the first soccer player in my family. So I think there was a definite learning curve for a bunch of them.
Well, I'm sure you set the bar pretty high too, coming to BU. You were 3-time all-conference America East midfielder of the year as a senior. So a little bit dominant, I'd say. But also your team won the America East Championship all 4 years. How was that experience like to know nothing but winning? And I'm sure it didn't come easy, but do you have any memories in particular that stand out?
Yeah, I mean, my reaction to that question is like, God, it felt good. I think the teams that I played on, and I was a medical redshirt my freshman year, so I actually tore my ACL 2 months before my freshman preseason, which was super discouraging. But I mean, being able to be a part of everything that first year and just kind of get a feel for things, and then the next 4 years, as you mentioned, like just kind of running the table, it was exciting. And I think that those teams that I played on were just super strong, and I think super competitive, myself included, I think almost to a fault. If you rewind and ask coach in some of my player meetings early on, it was like, okay, you need to take it down a notch. But I mean, I was one of those players, and I think those teams were just, we hated to lose in training, never mind to concede a goal, never mind lose a game. So I think there was just this definite culture of winning and how the work was never done. And I do credit a lot of that to coach. Like, I mean, she's been here 25 plus years. She's built these programs. She's recruited these girls who just are all kind of bought into that mission. And so, I mean, that aside, the memories were just awesome. I think just being able to host the tournament every year was something special. These teams coming into our field, I think a lot of people complained, oh, Nickerson's so big and it's turf, but I mean, like, you're in your comfort zone and you're in your locker room and you're getting your breakfast at Tees and you're just kind of in the zone and just being, having that buzz around campus too. I think it was always super special. Postseason games always kind of got more people in the stands. I think more people's families were able to travel for those special games. And so, yeah, I mean, it was just really, really fun. But as you said, like it was year after year, and like it wasn't enough to not win the regular season and then win the America East, but then get to the NCAAs and just be hungrier for more. So it definitely was a cool feeling. And it's unusual too. Like I have, my husband played soccer in college and didn't have the same experience. I have friends who were college athletes in other sports elsewhere. And it's just so rare too, to be able to year after year kind of show up and kind of bring it like that. So just super special all around.
Yeah, and those memories, I'm sure your teammates are probably some of your best friends still nearly 10 years later. What are those relationships like today, and how have they evolved?
Yeah, I mean, I think about this question. I'm like, if I look back to who we were at 18, 19, 20, I mean, the majority of us are married and having babies. So like inherently that changes things. What's funny is this weekend I updated the software in my iPhone, and I have a group chat with Liz Speck and Casey Brown that's just pinned to the top. And so I'm talking to those two every day, especially, I mean, during this election season. Like we were taking shifts in terms of who was watching CNN and what was being called. And I mean, again, like just that alone, like we're invested in politics. We're invested in each other's weddings. Liz and Casey were both in mine, and we were in Liz's. And so those moments now too are just kind of mini reunions, which is super fun. And so just being able to just pick up the phone and nothing's changed really. Like I mentioned all of this, and we're older and we're living in different states and cities and different jobs and careers, but it's still a lot will never change, which is really exciting. I mean, Liz is due with her second baby, I think next week. So I mean, I can't wait to meet that little one. But yeah, I mean, even from my class, which is a group of 9 girls, like all super different personalities, living and spread out all over the country. But I mean, we still have a group chat too. And I think that's the beauty of kind of being a part of this big program. And hopefully post-COVID, we can get together in person again and be on the sidelines next year cheering the team on. But yeah, it's kind of cool to see it evolve, and I think it will continue to change. But they're, as you say, some of the best friends that I'll always have. So this program, I am indebted to it for that.
That's so awesome to hear. And going now into your professional career, you currently work at Facebook, which must be very cool to get paid to be on Facebook all day, or I don't know exactly what you do, but it sounds pretty awesome to me. And you've worked in communications your entire career now since graduating. What kind of sparked your interest in that field, and what do you like about it?
Yeah, I will say the first thing that popped into my head was I mentioned that I showed up to college at 17, and to be quite honest, I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I think that's totally normal, and that's totally fine. I didn't have the magic answer when you committed at 16 to come to BU. I knew it was a great school, a great university. There was a lot of different avenues that I could go down. I think for me personally, like I'm not that math and science bookworm. I love writing. I love relationship building. I think naturally I found my way in communications, but I do remember just coming to school and just kind of talking to the upperclassmen of like, what classes do you enjoy taking? What do you like doing? And I remember Shannon Mullen, who was a year older than I was, she was in comms. And so just kind of talking to her about it and hearing what she was working on and the classes that she was taking was something that made me want to just give it a try. And I think I had some great professors in comms that were awesome. I remember taking a public speaking course and being terrified to take it. But I mean, taking that course, I think back now, I can stand up in a presentation at work of 200 people and feel fine about it, and know how to organize my thoughts and know how to get up there and do that without fear. So I think all that's a roundabout way to say of like, I kind of fell into it. And just, I was able to kind of carve my path in this tech space. You mentioned I'm at Facebook. Previously, I supported Microsoft and a number of small PR agencies. And so I think just it's been incremental over my career to kind of get where I am. And I've kind of picked and choose what I've liked about comms and maybe what I haven't. And so it's all kind of this great experiment, right? I don't think you're ever done and say, okay, I achieved what I want to achieve. There's always something new to do. And so I'm fortunate to be at Facebook in that regard because it's such a large company and there's so many different teams that you can be on and different teams that you can support. So yeah, I think it's definitely worked out thus far and I'm excited to see what happens next.
Yeah, and we had on Steph Dreyer a little bit earlier in these Terrier Tuesdays, who's also a College of Communications graduate and your former teammate too. And she's working in the communications field too. So can you give us the secret? What's the inside sauce into how you're having tremendous success in the communications field comes from being a member of the women's soccer team?
Yeah, I think for both Steph and I think we were such big personalities that I think it makes so much sense that we landed in this field. But I mean, if you look back at the 4 years, I mean, you have 26 girls in a locker room together. That's 25 different personalities. I mean, I played with girls from Boston who grew up 20 minutes from me, but also girls from Florida and California and Texas. And so it's just a really unique environment to be in and to honestly kind of grow up in. And I think being able to navigate kind of how you meet people where they are and they meet you where you are is really special. And that's on the field and off the field too. I think on the field, like, you know, people's strengths and you know kind of how to play off of each other. And it's the same thing in the locker room and it's the same thing in the office now. I mean, you have to be able to navigate personalities and kind of understand maybe where people are coming from. And for me, as I mentioned, relationship building and just kind of having that be the backbone of communications and being able to kind of network with people and build those strong relationships professionally. I think it all stems back from soccer. And I remember applying for my first job out of college and I had a few internships, but of course, kind of soccer takes up a lot of your time. And so I think for me, I had coach be one of my first references out of college. And it's true. And I think even every interview that I've had, every professional conversation I had, like, being an athlete comes up. And kind of being a part of a team comes up, and those threads are just always kind of woven even after you're done playing. But yeah, I mean, it's really special to be able to navigate a big complex group of people, like 25 girls in a locker room and like your coworkers now.
Definitely. And to close, what's one thing that you give a piece of advice to your 17-year-old Shauna stepping on campus?
Oh, the first thing that comes to mind, and I think my friends will laugh, is just calm down. I think what made me the player that I was that I had this coach would probably call it this bite and this edge and just kind of always wanting to be better. And as I mentioned, just the competitive nature of our team, but I was just super competitive with myself too. And I think I probably beat myself up a little bit too much. And so I think definitely just kind of take a breath and kind of calm down would be one. And I think the other thing too, I mentioned battling injuries in my freshman year and throughout is that kind of this concept of everything happens for a reason. And that sounds so cheesy, but I mean, I look back now and I think me having that first semester to kind of rehab and just be around the girls and just get stronger and get better made me successful in the next 4 years. So, I mean, of course, I'm how many years removed, so now I can have some perspective. In the moment, it's hard to think that, but yeah, I wouldn't have changed anything for the world. I wouldn't have changed having that 5th year for the world either, and just being able to be a part of such a special program for a little bit longer.
Awesome. So glad that you had a great experience and that you're still keep in touch with everyone today, and the Terrier Network is strong. Thank you so much for your time today. It's been really great to meet you and to chat with you, and hopefully we'll be back on the soccer field one day and get to see you in Philly or Boston, wherever you are.
Yeah, thanks so much, Meg. This was great.
Thanks for tuning in to Terrier Tuesdays. Give us a follow on our social media accounts at BU Athletics on Twitter and Instagram for more content.